final deadline. President Bush says Saddam must disarm now or face the consequences.
Tomorrow is a moment of truth for the world.
In depth, deadly disease, the search for answers to the mystery illness that continues to spread around the world. Love and hate, a look from the Arab world where the values and views of America clash. And the War Watch, views from Americans on this Sunday as war looms.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. There are new signs tonight that President Bush is days, maybe even hours away from making good on his promise to disarm Saddam Hussein. The president declared today at the emergency summit in the Azores that tomorrow will be the moment of truth for the world. Along with the leaders of Britain, Spain, and Portugal, Mr. Bush set a one-day deadline for the UN to support a new resolution giving Saddam a final deadline. Otherwise, U.S. forces are poised to invade Iraq. We begin our coverage with NBC's Campbell Brown, who is traveling with the president.
Even on this isolated island in the Atlantic, anti-war protesters awaited President Bush, but it was immediately clear he, along with Britain's Prime Minister Blair and Spain's Prime Minister Aznar, had made up their minds to end the diplomacy.
Tomorrow is a moment of truth for the world.
Together, they delivered an ultimatum to the UN. Within the next 24 hours, in the negotiations, join in support of disarming Saddam, or there will be military action without UN backing. The president's frustration over the lack of support from other countries was evident today when he angrily interrupted a foreign reporter, pressing him on exactly who would fight alongside the U.S.
The United Nations Security Council looked at the issue 4.5 months ago and voted unanimously to say, disarm immediately and unconditionally. And if you don't, there are going to be serious consequences. The world has spoken, and it did in a unified voice. Sorry.
Even Prime Minister Blair passionately insisted further talk was a waste of time.
We cannot simply go back to the Security Council for this discussion to be superseded by that discussion, to be superseded by another discussion. That's what's happened for 12 years. That's why he's still got the weapons of mass destruction.
Privately, administration officials conceded the second resolution will likely not be brought to a vote. Given that where things stand now, they are certain to lose. The president put the blame squarely on the French and their veto threat.
France showed their cards. After I said what I said, they said they're going to veto anything that held Saddam to account. So cards have been played.
Only Saddam Hussein going into exile, the president said, would now prevent a military strike. White House officials said the president still planned to address the nation before going to war to give Saddam one final ultimatum, a speech that could come as early as tomorrow night.
As for the future of the UN, the president has repeatedly said it would be irrelevant if it did not act. Today he backtracked and said he would go to the UN for help rebuilding Iraq, but only after military action. Campbell Brown, NBC News, with the president in the Azores.
The president's statement today in some ways produced more questions than answers. Questions about how the UN Security Council will react to the deadline set by the president. NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell joins us tonight from our Washington bureau. And Andrea, what's going on right now behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, John, tonight, Secretary of State Powell and Tony Blair, and possibly the president as well from his airplane, are calling other leaders to give them one last chance to see if they will support the British and American UN resolution. But unless undecided members cave in to U.S. pressure, unlikely, the U.S. and Great Britain are now expected to pull that resolution sometime tomorrow, in effect ending the diplomatic campaign to avoid war. Meanwhile, France and Germany have requested an afternoon meeting at the Security Council tomorrow to discuss their proposal for a foreign ministers meeting Tuesday to consider giving the inspectors more time, at least 30 days, to see if Iraq would comply with 12 key disarmament demands. Well, tonight, a senior U.S. official told NBC News that was silly before the Azores summit, and now it's even sillier.
Andrea, how about the report that Hans Blix is filing tomorrow on Iraq?
Well, Blix's team is working tonight on a lengthy report listing those 12 remaining disarmament issues that Iraq has not yet satisfied. But the UN has its own bureaucratic momentum, and this is a classic example. Blix's report is required under a 4-year-old UN resolution. It is completely divorced from the reality that George Bush feels this diplomacy is going nowhere, and he's about to give a final ultimatum for war. John?
NBC's Andrea Mitchell in Washington. Andrea, thanks.
Thank you.
There was another warning and fresh defiance today from Saddam Hussein, who threatened to strike back anywhere in the world if there is an invasion of his country. Meanwhile, the preparations for war continue in Iraq. NBC's Ron Allen reports from Baghdad.
President Saddam Hussein kept up his country's preparations for war, rallying these military commanders, telling them it's a big lie that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. And today, Saddam vowed to fight the U.S. anywhere in the world. Saddam now has divided the country into 4 military districts, each under the control of a trusted aide, including one of his sons, rather than military generals to ensure tighter control. This weekend, Saddam's ruling Ba'ath Party has organized huge public demonstrations, with some of the organizers well armed, ensuring high turnout for the marches. Meanwhile, the threat of war is hampering the UN inspectors. They've been forced to stop flying most of their helicopter fleet because insurers canceled their coverage. And the number of inspectors here has dropped by several dozen to below 70. But the UN insists that's due to work contracts ending or breaks, not the start of an evacuation. Today, Iraq destroyed more illegal missiles and sent the UN another report about VX nerve gas. But still no grand gesture from here, as the chief inspectors consider an 11th-hour invitation for talks in Baghdad.
I don't exclude it, but there are many other things that are happening in the world.
And today in Kurdish-controlled northern Iraq, a reminder of what this crisis is all about. These grim ceremonies marking the 15th anniversary of a chemical attack by Iraq's Air Force that left thousands dead. Sirens wailed, marking the precise moment the bombs fell. A young man expressed the fears of many with war looming. Saddam may use chemical weapons against us again, he says.
Tonight, there's been no response from Iraq to the summit. But even before those meetings, more diplomats from countries who've been staying here working for a peaceful outcome have been urging their citizens and making plans to leave. Ron Allen, NBC News, Baghdad.
There are now more than 250,000 U.S. troops in the Persian Gulf region waiting for orders and getting ready for a war that could be hours away. We have 2 reports from the front line tonight. First, NBC's Chip Reed is with the U.S. Marines in Kuwait near the Iraqi border.
Late Sunday afternoon, a column of armored assault vehicles departs the Marine base camp in northern Kuwait and rumbles across the desert, direction north. The 3rd Battalion of the 5th Marines moving one step closer to Iraq. The Kilo Company has 12 of these machines. They're called amphibious assault vehicles. Yes, amphibious. They were designed for beach landings. They get to the beach, this ramp comes down, and the troops come pouring out, ready to fight. But they also work very well in the desert. In fact, on sand, they can average about 25 miles an hour.
Eagle Base, this is Grizzly Range, over.
Marine commanders say speed will be the key to accomplishing their mission if there is war. The troops set up camp at this remote desert outpost called a tactical assembly area. Marine commanders say this does not necessarily mean war is imminent, but are pushing forces forward to be ready if the call comes.
If in the event that combat is called for, this just provides us one last area. We can stage, organize for combat, and continue on towards the line of departure from here.
Fire the hole!
Nearby, a tank killer missile team practices its aim, obliterating targets 1.5 miles away.
As far as knocking out enemy threat, the tow system knocks out tanks, anything that's big and ugly out there.
I'm going to lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside.
Not everyone here spent Sunday practicing for war. At Sunday church services, chaplains rallied the troops.
When there's a hot spot in the world, who do they call? The United States.
For these Marines, a moment for prayer at a service that many here believe will be their last before going to war. Chip Reed, NBC News in northern Kuwait.
This is Dana Lewis with the 101st Airborne. In the midst of training for war, For a brief moment today, these U.S. soldiers here in the Kuwaiti desert stopped, put their helmets and M16s down on a sandy chapel floor, and turned their attention to prayer. Still wearing bulletproof vests, but holding Bibles instead of guns. Army chaplains say since deploying here, the number of soldiers attending Sunday services has doubled. Young men and women so close to war, contemplating mortality. And on this Army base, religious boundaries are blurred. Chaplains from every faith form a religious platoon to provide spiritual counseling. Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, chaplains will follow soldiers to war, unarmed but assigned bodyguards.
What's up?
Chaplain Richard Compton visits every tent, each battalion, offering support, kind words, friendship to ease the isolation of being so far away from home.
Loneliness. Loneliness is the biggest thing right now with these guys. Fear to some extent, but fear will come more once things start moving.
Sean Stoner, a sergeant for Bravo Company, his wife Maria is back in Tennessee pregnant with twins. Now he sought comfort from the chaplain.
Just putting, spiritual matters at, kind of at ease. Rest assured that that area is covered.
There are a handful of Muslim soldiers praying in this makeshift house of prayer. Walid Gaber says the war is not about Muslim against Muslim. It's only about Saddam.
The cause that I'm fighting for is to save a lot of people from this tyrant.
Every chaplain says dying is something almost every soldier has asked about. What do they tell them?
Get them fired up, get them energized, use that fear to keep you alive.
So today, prayer keeps spirits high for Americans who could soon go into harm's way. Dana Lewis, NBC News in the Kuwaiti desert.
And a reminder that you can find full coverage of a possible war with Iraq, updated 24 hours a day on our website, msnbc.com. Still to come on NBC Nightly News, the mystery illness. Health investigators from around the world are scrambling to find the cause of an illness that has killed at least 8 people. But do they have any clues? That story coming up in depth. And later, America on a Sunday before a possible war.
In the future, everyone's glasses will automatically adjust to changing light and block out harmful UV rays that can damage the eyes. But for those with transitions lenses, the future is already here. Ask your eye care professional, because the danger is real now, and so is the protection. Transitions.
Inside every can of Minwax is the secret to enhancing wood's natural beauty. Minwax rich wood stains and long-lasting protective finishes make it easy to turn any house into a beautiful home. Minwax makes and keeps wood beautiful. What's as gentle as Senecot natural vegetable laxatives? Senecot tablets contain 100% natural senna. The original senna laxative shown to be effective in 50 clinical studies. Yet Senecot gives you overnight relief from occasional constipation gently. Senecot works gently, works overnight.
If you've had a heart attack or a stroke, the last thing you need is another one sneaking up on you. After all, you've got better things to do. I know. In my case, I had a heart attack. Then I heard about Plavix, so I asked my doctor. He told me Plavix is a prescription pill that can help protect you from a heart attack or a stroke if you've recently had one. Or if you have poor circulation in the legs causing pain.
Plavix is proven to help keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep your blood flowing. This can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke. If you have a medical condition that is causing bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, you should not use Plavix. Side effects include itching, rash, diarrhea, and bruising. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur. Ask your doctor.
Taking Plavix once a day helps protect me.
Find out if Plavix can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke.
Monday. Is anything short of war still possible? 11th hour talks continue, but so do massive military preparations. The latest NBC Nightly News Monday.
NBC News in depth tonight, a medical mystery. Scientists around the world are trying to find the source of a rapidly spreading illness that's causing concern from Asia to North America to Europe. So far, there are no answers. In depth, here's NBC News chief science correspondent Robert Bazell.
In several Asian countries today, health officials continue tallying hundreds of cases of the mysterious new illness that causes fever and pneumonia. Infections among medical workers have been a big problem. A Hong Kong health official.
We have 43 staff who have been admitted to our public hospitals.
Experts are highly concerned about the potential for the illness to spread worldwide because of 6 cases, including 2 deaths in Toronto. That began with one person who had traveled to Hong Kong. And there are 2 cases in Frankfurt, people who had been in Singapore. The CDC today is sending alerts to U.S. airports, telling people arriving from Asia to watch for fever and respiratory problems. CDC Director Dr. Julie Gerberding.
I expect by tomorrow, many passengers will be getting that alert as they arrive.
So far, sophisticated lab tests have given no clue to the cause.
Do you have any sense yet of what this is?
Well, it looks like it's something that's being spread through respiratory secretions. You have to have close contact with those secretions in order to get it. A lot of viruses fall into that category, but most of the viruses we're familiar with don't usually cause such severe pneumonia.
The first suspicion was influenza. In recent years, a potentially dangerous strain of flu from chickens infected a few people in Hong Kong, but that does not seem to be involved in this outbreak.
We have a great deal of confidence in the Hong Kong labs, and the fact that they're not finding influenza in these patients argues against that being the cause. But until we know what it is, it's difficult to say whether it's garden variety and we're just having trouble diagnosing it for some reason, or it's a new pathogen.
A new pathogen, that is, a previously unknown infectious agent.
For years, many top researchers have worried about something new spreading around the world quickly. Until this agent is identified, they won't know whether those fears are coming true. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
When we come back, one Middle Eastern country's love-hate relationship with America.
$1 million smile, a string of stainless steel pearls, seats that make you feel like you're sinking into a warm leather bath, and enough room for the family purebred. It's my most decadent design yet. You lucky dog, you. My name's Harley Earl, and I've come back to build you a great car.
Buick, the spirit of American style.
Post-shredded wheat is rich in whole grain and can help reduce your risk of heart disease. So it sounds as good to your ears as it does to your taste buds.
Marie Callender began every recipe the same way, with care. And her country fried chicken was no exception. Marie served it up with mashed potatoes slowly whipped with real cream. And corn? Well, Marie thought it best eaten right off the cob. Marie Callender put her heart into everything she made. And to this day, we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's country fried chicken dinner in your grocer's freezer. Made with the care of Marie.
When your eyes feel dry, irritated, there's Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves and soothes, then forms a lasting shield of protection to keep irritation out and moisture in. #1 doctor recommended Refresh relieves and protects.
If you have diabetes, you've probably handled thousands of test strips. But no more, thanks to the AccuCheck Compact Meter. Just drop in a drum containing 17 test strips. Press the button and you're ready. 17 consecutive tests and no handling strips. What could be clearer? The AccuCheck Compact Meter. Look for the one with the drum.
Confronting colon cancer. Are you at risk? What you need to know about prevention, detection, and treatment, plus answers to your email questions. A special series this week on Today.
Bill Hurd Chevrolet is shattering the sticker price on every new vehicle in stock. Today through Sunday, 1,500 new Chevy cars and trucks will be on sale at dealer invoice, and you get to keep the rebate up to $3,000 below invoice, $4,000 if you own a GM vehicle. Malibus, Impalas, Corvettes, S10s, Silverados, Avalanches, Trailblazers, Tahoes, Suburbans. Save up to $10,000 off MSRP. Bill Hurd Chevrolet, dedicated to quality customer service and excellence. I-24 exits 59 and 60.
Dan and Demetria, coverage you can count on.
America is at a crossroads in the Middle East tonight. Not only is a military conflict looming, but the region is gripped by a cultural conflict as well, and a question for many there: to love or hate America. NBC's Jim Maceda reports from Jordan.
Nadim Kayali appears as American as any Jordanian 20-something. A U.S. college education, and a successful law practice back in Amman. Nadim cherishes the American values he's learned: free thinking, personal responsibility, and he loves the lifestyle. Most of all, the sports, like basketball, an addiction.
I try to watch SportsCenter every day, actually.
But Nadim, an observant Muslim, is torn, like many young Jordanians these days, between loving the America he knows and hating an American foreign policy he says turns a blind eye to Arabs.
The hypocrisy of that drives every single Jordanian Arab to the brink of their sanity.
Anti-American feeling isn't new to Jordan, fueled mostly by the belief that Washington gives free rein to Israel to kill fellow Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Saeed Hutari, the young suicide bomber who killed 21 Israelis at a Tel Aviv disco 2 years ago, was a Jordanian. Still, Islamic extremism here is rare. But this loathing of the United States is widespread, and analysts say is on the rise. An anger all the more troubling in a nation that prides itself on its American ties and its Western way of life.
This clash of civilizations is actually realizing itself, which is something that is a very scary thought.
Fast-track Jordanian students dream of high-paying jobs at American companies like Microsoft or Procter & Gamble, but even they hate what they see America has become.
It doesn't hear its people, you know?
America doesn't hear its own people.
And something we have in common is that we hate American policies.
And if America goes to war with Iraq,
it's going to destroy everything, the American dream.
Nadim says he'll cling to that dream of working hard and earning the good life. But with war seemingly around the corner, he fears that even a friend like Jordan could become America's enemy. Jim Maceda, NBC News, Amman.
Israeli military officials say the death of an American college student in the Gaza Strip was an accident. 23-year-old Rachel Corey of Olympia, Washington, was among a group of protesters trying to block an Israeli bulldozer from demolishing a home when she was run over. The U.S. government is calling for an investigation. When we come back, a day of rest for a nation on edge.
I hate it when he does that.
Sorry about the dust.
Come on, guys, let's go.
The powerful new Chevy Trailblazer EXT. Room for 7. Room for everything.
I left the bagels in the jet.
Chevy Trailblazer. Like a rock.
Marie Callender made her chicken pot pie with tender white meat chicken and a golden flaky crust made from scratch. And we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie, made with the care of Marie.
Did you know that tomatoes contain a remarkable nutrient called lycopene? Emerging science suggests that lycopene is one of the ingredients in tomatoes that may help reduce the risk of heart disease. And now, lycopene is in Centrum, or if you're over 50, Centrum Silver. Lycopene. Another reason Centrum may do more for your health. New Centrum and Centrum Silver. Now more complete with lycopene.
Right now at LensCrafters, all lenses are 50% off. That's right, every lens in the store, 50% off. Still made in about an hour. All with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Where else can you get all that?
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends March 22nd.
Whiskas knows how to get your cat's attention. Whiskas Tender Bites, tiny morsels lightly coated in gravy. They're the smaller bites with a big taste. Tender Bites from Whiskas.
Hi, I have to get copier, laser, and inkjet paper sizes A3, A4, toner, printer ink, letter size envelopes, legal envelopes, padded shipping envelopes, memo pads, legal pads, stickies, labels, and pens.
Okay. Come right this way. We've got everything all together over here. You've got your ink and toner, paper, laser, inkjet, copier, envelopes, memo pads, files, file folders, stickies, pens, ballpoints, felt tips, highlighters. We've got it all right here so you can get going fast.
Office Depot lets you shop fast and smart. Bring in your empty ink or toner cartridges for recycling and get a free ream of Office Depot recycled paper. Office Depot. What you need to know.
All new Dateline Sunday. As the family of Elizabeth Smart celebrates her safe return, another mother continues a desperate search for her missing daughter.
I hope that she's alive.
But after 2 years, is the trail too cold? And is there more to the story than meets the eye? Little Girl Lost. Dateline tonight, 7/6 Central on NBC.
Iraq, 11th hour talks. NBC Nightly News, Monday.
Last week, MSNBC was first.
Elizabeth Smart has been found alive.
First, fast, and accurate. MSNBC.
After months of negotiations, diplomatic flare-ups, and a huge military buildup in the Persian Gulf region, President Bush used blunt language today to say time has run out for Iraq. He said Saddam Hussein's moment of truth has arrived, prompting a defiant reply from Saddam, who declared Baghdad will fight wherever there is sky, earth, and water. But throughout America, a country almost certainly on the verge of war, ordinary people spent their Sunday doing ordinary things, going to church, taking walks, watching baseball games, remarkably calm and thoughtful, still focused on peace. NBC's Joe John spent the day taking stock of America's mood.
The prayer for peace, routine and ordinary, almost unnoticed most Sundays.
Lord, in your mercy.
But today at Washington's National Cathedral, with America on the verge of war, the message of peace was clear and resonant.
Guide the people of this land and of all the nations in the ways of justice and peace.
And in Harlem, at one of the country's best-known African-American Baptist churches, war prompted a message less subtle, more directly critical.
This war is serving as a smokescreen to an issue that is gripping all of us in the United States, and that is a failing economy.
Throughout the country today, perhaps the last Sunday before war with Iraq, opinions of ordinary Americans were as diverse as America itself.
I think America should stand behind any decision that the president makes, good or bad.
I may not personally want to go to war, but if that's what it takes to resolve the issue, then I'm standing behind the policies of our country.
We just have to keep hope alive that if we do go to war, that God will have the final say.
The prospect of war couldn't keep people away from the rituals of spring training in Florida. But the anxiety generated by sending American troops into harm's way lingered in the background of the serene Florida fields of play for players and fans alike.
Whenever we leave the ball field, it monopolizes our time. Everybody goes home and, tunes into the news stations to find out what's going on.
We're going to try to have as much fun as we can and hope for the best.
Trust our leaders to take care of us.
In Dearborn, Michigan, home of one of the largest Arab-speaking communities outside the Middle East, strong words.
I think it's terrible. It's going to be a human tragedy and a catastrophe.
But like the rest of the country, Dearborn's Arab-American population harbors mixed opinions.
We want to see Saddam Hussein out as soon as possible.
As Americans brace for the uncertainty of war abroad, they find strength in the diversity of opinion at home. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.
That's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Thanks for watching. Now here's Jane Pauley with a look at what's coming up tonight on Dateline. Jane?
Thanks, John. As we celebrate the safe return of Elizabeth Smart, many cannot help but think of all the other children abducted every year. Tonight, the troubling, baffling story of one missing girl. No one seems to know where little Rilya Wilson is, including those who were supposed to be a child's last resort.
The state of Florida tells you they have lost Rilya.
Yes.
Lost.
How could a 4-year-old child just disappear, and who is to blame? That story tonight on Dateline. John?
Thanks, Jane. That's Dateline tonight, 7, 6 Central Time. And a reminder to stay with NBC News for the latest on Iraq. Continuing coverage on MSNBC on cable and the internet, and much more tomorrow morning on Today, and with Tom Brokaw tomorrow night on Nightly News. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York, and I'll see you back here again next weekend, if not before.